What is up, Earthnoids, Spacenoids, and Jovians? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we're returning to Crossbone Gundam Dust. Last time, Kaguya and the mighty transport team helped children from becoming cyber new type experiments for the Fallen Federation. They met with Font in the Phantom Gundam, who believes the best way to fix Universal Century is to work with these new titans. This time, the gang heads to the Taganis colonies. We are reintroduced to Trace, and Font tries to take them children. So let's get into this. Castle Taganis. We meet with Trace and her daughter Ferris, who points out to the sky. Something is heading their way. The daughter seems to exhibit new type abilities. It is the mighty transport team with the 2,000 children. Taganis is known as the agro-mogul of 8 colonies. They're certain that 2,000 young working hands will be quite helpful. One of the crew says that their defenses are ironclad and they never allowed any immigration before. There is a heavy debris field around the colonies. Mobile suits are jammed into asteroids, similar to how past civilizations would put heads on a spike to deter people from entering. Taganis even does all their grain transportation in-house. Oh my god, Isaac! What have they done to you? Abomination mobile suits surround them and send the mighty transport a warning. They give them a final warning. Ash tells them that he wants to talk to Taganis, and he is cashing in on a favor. Taganis shows up on the comms. Ash cuts to the point and just says, please take these 2,000 children. No guff. He says, smart man, my life is the equivalent of 2,000 people. What an offering you bring me. Ash goes, yeah, sure man, just roll with it. He allows them to dock. They will prepare a feast. Taganis introduces Trace and his daughter Forrest. Trace says, oh snap, it really is you. And she punches Ash in the stomach. Ash doesn't remember hitting on a married woman in the past. She tells him that she was there the day he almost lost his head. She says if Font could see the man you have grown to be, he would be happy. Ash says, funny you should say that because I just ran into him. Trace goes, what? He's alive and awake? What the hell? Screw this life I built over the past 15 years. I'm out of here. Taganis chases after her. Meanwhile, they take a break at their bathhouse, and Kaguya tries to touch Leo's body. Also, you get to see Vava, the old Obasan's droopy old titties. I'm not showing any of this to you. You perverts can go seek that out yourself. Afterwards, Leo asks if Ash is doing okay after the incident with Font. He says he doesn't want to worry about problems he can't solve. He explains to her that Font seemed to want to help them back when he was about to lose his head. Most of what he knows about Font is before all the action took place, because after that, Ash blacked out, or his mind is purposefully diluting himself for optimal storytelling. However, Kaguya says that he is being incredibly naive. And Taganis is up to something with the children. While talking, fireflies buzz around them. They realize that fireflies are just bugs with glowing butts and they freak out. Later, while they are all asleep, Ash wonders if Leo will stay here. He likes having her around. That is when Trace barges in. She says, you, come with me now. We are going to talk to Jack. Ash thinks, what does this drunken priest have anything to do with this? He happens to have an informant network. He would absolutely know about this. They call Jack Friday, who says, yeah, I knew, but Font told Jack to keep it quiet. He says a year ago, while Ash was on a job, Font and Bell showed up. He wanted to travel the solar system trying to make sense of what he missed. He said he would reach out to old friends personally. Trish says, you idiot, you weren't supposed to honor his wishes. You were supposed to tell me. Me. Jack knows that Font thinks 3 moves ahead of most people. He must have a plan if he turned against them. That is when they hear a loud noise. Taganis is moving the children. Ash wonders what is going on. Taganis says, bro, we can't house 2,000 people, you naive idiot. We are giving them back to the Federation. That is when Font approaches in a Titan's uniform. And I must say, he's owning that uniform. Behind him are Hambrabis. Sorry, Hambrabi, not to be confused with Hambrabi. The CRX-139 Hambra B is based off of the old Hambrabi from the Grips conflict. The transformation mechanisms are removed and is permanently in mobile armor mode. It functions as a sub-flight system for James Gunn Kai's. Weapons include 3 claws. The DCU James Gunn Kai is James Gunn, but far worse in every way. All of its beam weapons have been stripped, and it has the Cyclops mono eye. This rides on top of the Hambra B. Weapons include 2 Vulcan guns, a machine gun, a long-range cannon similar to the 180mm cannon used by the old ground Gundams, and a shield. Also, I enjoyed Superman, but that Peacekeeper finale was too self-indulgent. I like James Gunn more than James Gunn Kai. Make another Scooby-Doo movie.
Or the giant fucking mural of Hitler? Fuck, how'd I miss them?
Taganis punches Ash in the face. He says that his prosperity is a front. They have the population capped at 5,000 per colony, which helps control their yield. He also said, "Why do you think we're friends?" Leo says, "Don't you know what will happen to these children?" He says, "Yes, it sounds like the Federation is going to educate them and feed them 3 squares a day." 3 squares? 3 squares? What opulence. Leo yells at him, saying that he is just feeding into war, just like the military-industrial complexes of the past. Trace can't seem to find her daughter, Forrest. She is probably with the other kids. Trace and Taganis want to look for Forrest, but Font says, "Nah, she's ours now. This will be easier, actually." Trace slaps Font and says that he is not the same person from the past. They take the transport team prisoner when Kaguya in the crane comes in to help. She was able to take out the Cyclops soldiers watching over their ship. They move out with the children. The anchor in crane chases them down. Leo is in the cockpit with Ash. Font asks him if he really is able to take on the burden of 2,000 people. Do they even fathom how hard such a simple task as feeding them will be? That is when Taganis attacks in his Wars mode, and Trace in her Victory Easy. The Victory Easy uses the limbs of Gun Easy and the core fighter of Victory Gundam. Both Gun Easy and Victory are Ligue Militaire tech and compatible. The core fighter can eject, but it can no longer dock on the fly and requires a mechanic to put it back together. Weapons include 25mm Vulcans and a beam saber. Everyone moves into action to save the children. Font decides to move in for the next phase. That is when Belle, also in a Titan's uniform, grabs Trace's daughter. Belle says they are going to weigh her soul against 2,000 children. Font says he will give back Taganis' daughter if they open up the doors to the colony. Ash thinks of something he could do. Forrest wants her dad to save her friends, the 2,000 children. One of the Hombrabis points a barrel at her, and Font gives him 30 seconds to decide. Ash can sense something. It is Font saying that Ash has got this in his head. He throws his anchor at the Hombrabi while Taganis saves his daughter. One of his teammates is able to open up a small hatch, and Font makes his escape. Kaguya tries to chase him, but she bumps her head. Font takes their leave. Taganis contacts him to tell him to never touch his daughter ever again. He says that they will return soon. Taganis thanks so much for being on the Federation's good side. He says that he isn't going to let Font get his hands on the children, but they still can't stay here. He and Ash argue and start fighting, but Leo punches Ash in the face and tells the two to stop. Taganis goes, "You are right. We shouldn't fight now. We should fight 3 days from now. In a coliseum full of my people, we shall sumo wrestle, a tradition on this colony. Loser accepts whatever the winner tells them." Ash says that he doesn't have to support the children. He just has to help them until they can stand on their own 2 feet. Leo wants to fight with Ash. The Wars mode puts on a Gundam mask. The two begin their sumo match. Forrest tells her mom that a girl that went by the name Ghost gave her this note. Trace looks at it and it simply says, "Don't worry." Font seems to have a plan. Font meets with Arnold, the volcano pilot, sitting under the Last Supper. Where did you get that? Font intentionally lost that last battle. We get a good look at the space fortress, Titanomachia. One man is being brought in for questioning for siphoning funds from the Cyber-New-Type program. He claims it wasn't him, it was Arnold. Font seems to be exhausted by all levels of manipulation he is experiencing. He still has his AI Harada with him. Arnold and Font are trimming all the fat within high command, leaving them to rule. Font mentions that in his final battle with Kizo, his brain accelerated, allowing him to think so fast. He has finally managed to get it under control, but when he turns it off, he gets sleepy. Brain no work no more. Arnold still doesn't believe it. They are repairing the Phantom with tech that is hard to find in this time. We flash back to Font saving Arnold's life. He once offered up the Phantom to help, so it is the least he could do. He still wonders why he saved them back then. It is because Font admired his efficiency. Belle comes over and calls herself Corpse Bride. Font goes over the Universal 3 dividing plan. A plan to divide the world into 3. The Earth and the Earth Sphere colonies, and EFF, with the Cyclops team at the center. He wants to create a checks and balances system that will be mutually assured destruction if one is out of line. Arnold wonders what makes him think he is going along with it. Font understands that they are simply using one another. He suggests they continue to do so and address the issue once they decide to diverge. Font tries to get some rest. He tells Belle that everything is so calculated that if he makes a single mistake, it will end in Ash's death. Taganis wakes up in the hospital. He lost, and his pride has been hurt. It was actually Leo that did a lot of the work. You don't want to show any of that? Okay. Ash wants Kaguya to pay them for the job, but she doesn't have the money. This after talking about how mercs live on a tight budget. Where's my money, Kaguya? Taganis goes, wait, you're the princess of the moon? Did you know that people think you're missing and someone put a bounty out for you? Boys, it looks like we found our funding. Kaguya is mad that her cover is blown. And that will do it for this episode. Font isn't a bad guy, but just playing 4D chess like he always is. The question is, can he pull it off without making any mistakes? Next time, the team heads to Kaguya's colony, which just so happens to be Moon Moon, and the crane gets a few upgrades. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, Font literally has to shut his brain off to relax. But some of you make excuses to watch those Transformer movies. You just gotta shut your brain off. How about you go fuck yourself? Anyways, peace.